We have 2 videos left, and today we're talking about an inner conflict you might be having about doubt and comparison, and you're not good enough, or you can't do yoga because you're not flexible. There's a lot of things that go on in our heads whenever we're trying to do something new. So today we're going to cover a few of those mental blocks we might be having and how to move past them. So I want to tell you a story. Basically, a brief synopsis of my yoga journey. I started practicing alone at home, and it was great because it was my own special time to move, let go, try new things, fall without anyone seeing me, and just give things a try without feeling embarrassed or scared. Over time, this worked, but eventually something was missing. Like, I needed other people to connect with me over these trials and errors that I was running into. I needed advice, I needed tips, I needed a teacher, and I needed friends. And I didn't really know that in the beginning. So eventually I made some yogi friends that were much more advanced than me, but they seemed cool. They had a lot of Instagram followers, all that fun stuff that seemed like what I wanted and needed in my yoga journey at that time. But because of where I was mentally, I would compare myself to these other yogis all the time. It felt like a constant battle to keep up, and I kept it all in because I didn't know how to express these feelings necessarily. Eventually, those friendships ended, and I found some yogi friends who I really resonate with that I met in my 200-hour teacher training. But I don't think it would have taken me so long to find people I connected with if I would have been doing the work on myself to notice this doubt and comparison that was happening in the moment. So since then, I've learned how to become aware of when I'm comparing myself to others, beating myself up over not being able to do something someone else can. Because when I start something new, I've noticed that I come up against the thought of, I'm not good enough, and like maybe you do too. I think that's pretty normal, but I didn't have the tools back then that I have now in order to deal with this stuff. So I'm hoping that by me sharing what I've learned in these 5 tips for kind of moving through your own journey can help you and also bring you back to just sanity if you start comparing yourself or feeling doubtful of why you're here and what you're up to. So these are the best ways I've found to navigate fear, doubt, and comparison, all in this video. I hope they're helpful, and yeah, let's dive into them, I suppose. So my first tip is document everything. This is kind of like your tangible proof that you're doing work and you're showing up, even if it doesn't feel like it on a bad day or a lazy day. Basically, if you're taking videos and pictures of yourself, of where you physically are over time, you have physical evidence that you're showing up and you're doing it, and it holds you accountable in a different way than just doing it secretly like I used to do for a long time. These are things that you can do without ever posting them or plastering them all over the internet. They can just be for you. You can take them on your phone and keep them in a Google folder somewhere, wherever you want. But I think it's really important to document your journey so that you can look back and see yourself over time and see how you're learning and progressing and getting stronger. And maybe if you're only focusing on one thing, doing this will help you notice, like, oh, I haven't done anything with these types of poses in a long time. Maybe I'm avoiding them. Why am I avoiding them? And you can get insight into how you're moving on your mat without necessarily constantly thinking about it. But on top of this, documenting everything via video and pictures, don't get caught up in this. I hit a point in my practice, like, I don't know, it was fairly recent, I guess, where I felt like if I didn't have good lighting and the perfect place to put my phone, I didn't practice. And that doesn't even make sense to me. I don't know why I was doing that. but I was so caught up in like documenting it so I could share it online because I was wrapped up in this like social media world of yoga that was really weighing on me that like I wouldn't practice. What? That doesn't even make sense to me. So I noticed it. I noticed that when I went to practice and I couldn't find good lighting or a nice aesthetic to practice on, that I needed to address that and I needed to figure out why that was holding me back. So, without tuning into all of these things that I'm going to talk about, I wouldn't have noticed that my perfectionism over the content creation was enabling me from practicing. So, it's not actually as important as showing up and doing the work. Documenting your practice with videos and photos is only beneficial if you're actually practicing and looking at them and observing yourself. So, not just recording yourself to share online that you're doing something. Be aware of your intent here and know that it's really helpful if you've got the right intention in mind with doing so. So, tip number 2 then is let it out. This is my biggest piece of life advice for myself, honestly, is to like write, rant, and express yourself. So get a journal, like ASAP. Maybe you get like a diary with a lock on it because you don't want anyone to like get into it or whatever the case may be. Like you can totally do that. You can do whatever you want. But get a journal and just write every day. When you roll out your mat, grab your journal and write how you feel. So like if you're moody and lazy and you don't feel like practicing, write, I'm moody. I don't want to practice. Why am I even doing this? I'll do it for 5 minutes, I guess, and like write all this stuff out and then start your practice. Like stop writing and move. Pay attention to the thoughts that are coming up as you practice and then come back to your journal afterward and write what came up for you. Write what you noticed, what you're resisting, all of that stuff. And then you can observe where you are in the moment and notice how you feel each day. Then 2 months later, 2 weeks later, whatever the time frame is, you can flip back through your journals and see if there are things that keep coming up for you, if there are thoughts that you're having or things holding you back mentally or physically that you wouldn't have noticed if you didn't write them down. So write it all out, get it out of you, reflect on all of it, and you'll probably make more progress in your practice than if you just roll out your mat, practice, and go home. If you don't reflect and you don't look at the whole process, you're not going to get as much out of it. And that's just from my experience. So tip 3, just show up and celebrate milestones. So wherever you are, whatever type of mood you're in, just like I said, you show up. Roll out your mat and like sit on it. Maybe you don't want to move, but like sit on your mat, and being on your mat, you'll probably eventually start moving around. And if you don't, like give yourself the space to not. You don't have to force yourself to do this stuff, but create a space where it's easy for you to show up. And I've had people tell me, I don't have a space in my house, I don't have room in my house to do this type of stuff. I totally get it. Like you can't control your space necessarily, but maybe you find a nice spot in your backyard, or if you don't have a backyard, like in your hallway or in your kitchen or like somewhere where you have to walk through to get to, like sit your mat right there and you'll see it. And you can like roll it out wherever it fits and sit on it or stand on it and just be on your mat and show up. From there, if you don't have space, you can take your mat into the community, find a class, and follow through with your practice. But making sure you make your mat accessible to you will help you show up more. This again means meeting yourself exactly where you are. So in your physical body and your mind, like just know where you are today. You don't have to force yourself or beat yourself up over this stuff, but just be like, today I don't feel like moving. And maybe that's your sign that you need to get on your mat and practice. Or maybe it's your sign that you need to take a day off. But it's totally up to you. And if you miss a few days or weeks or a month, you can start again. Like skipping days and missing time and getting lost in stress and whatever you're working on doesn't make you any less yogi or you than you were when you were practicing. Like life happens and times get busy and crazy or whatever. you can always start again. Like, you're not going to have your yoga mat revoked from you because you haven't practiced in a month. It's yours and you can have it. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but like, I've met a lot of people who beat themselves up over not practicing for a week, not moving for a week. It's just a week of your life. It's okay. Like, you can always come back. So you'll probably fall off the wagon. Like, that stuff happens with anything. You just need to know that you can always begin again, wherever you are. Like, if you were making progress and you stopped and you've lost some of that progress, start where you are. You're further than you were a year ago, for sure, or 2 years ago. This also goes for, like, everything in life, by the way, in my opinion. And with showing up, you'll make progress and you'll have many accomplishments, and I encourage you to celebrate them. Like, completely celebrate them, whatever they are. Even if you just, like, touch your yoga mat and you didn't the day before, acknowledge that you did something more than you did yesterday. Celebrate them, tell someone about them. So if you have a roommate, a spouse, a kid, a mom, a dad, or whoever, a dog, like, sit down and talk to your dog and tell your dog how rockin' your downward dog was today. Dog probably doesn't care, but like, verbalize your accomplishments and put them out into the world. Don't let the little wins pass you by because they're big and they accumulate over time. Number 4, internet awareness. So this has been an interesting one for me, and that's why I'd like to share it. Some people don't have a problem with it. Some people aren't on Instagram. Some people aren't on Facebook, and like, they don't even, this isn't relevant necessarily to them because they're not getting sucked into the black hole of social media comparison. But if this is you, if you do love scrolling for inspiration and connecting with people online, I believe internet awareness is crucial to progressing and enjoying your practice. Like, if you love Instagram and you go there for inspiration, you may be familiar with like the ever lurking perfect yogis, like the beautiful beach yoga handstands and like the incredible poses that you don't even know how they got there. Like, me too. I totally see it and I get it, and I'm mind blown sometimes. And those people are just people, and they're on their journey too. And that's them expressing themselves in whatever way they're doing so. And it doesn't have anything to do with you, and it doesn't mean your journey is any less important. They're just other people. And maybe they have like a photographer who takes their pictures, which, good on them, that's cool, but that's also a lot of work too. So notice how you feel as you're scrolling. If you see someone who does inspire you and like lights you up and makes you feel good, like you want to do more and be better, like, follow those people. And if you come across someone who like brings you down or like brings up these weird feelings in you, don't follow them and acknowledge those feelings. So if you constantly see yourself looking at someone with like resentment and jealousy and envy, notice that stuff, unfollow, and then sit down with your journal and say, I'm jealous of this person. Why? Like, what is this about me? Because it's a representation of you, not them. And the way you feel about seeing their stuff has nothing to do with them. So it's a really great tool for inquiry if you're looking to dig more into yourself and figure out why you feel the way you do about certain things. The internet awareness practice is a great way of doing so. And remembering that like the best part of the internet is that we have access to all of the information, and like all of the people in the world, we can connect with them. We can be friends with people across the globe. That's incredible. And it's also a huge responsibility to take on. I have a feeling inside of me that a lot of people don't take it as serious and they just throw things out into the world mindlessly. And that's irresponsible. Like, we have voices and we have these channels to share and connect. And I feel like we should do that responsibly and mindfully. So I could rant on that forever, but put yourself first and know if something like doesn't sit well with you, simply unfollow and like get curious about it, but don't let it bring you down or make you feel less of who you are. And then my fifth point, and probably the biggest piece of this puzzle in starting a yoga journey, is like going back to my story from the beginning. Find your people. Find people you resonate with that like help you improve your practice in your life. You can join Facebook groups and take classes around town. Like, don't just take one class every Monday. You're only ever going to see the same Monday people, and like maybe those are your core Monday people friends, but branch out and try new things and meet new people and get different perspectives about different types of yoga and different journeys and different stories. This is how you find your people. Your people aren't just going to like come to you, show up knocking on your door saying, "Hey, I like yoga too, let's hang out." That doesn't happen, unfortunately. So find people, search for people, ask questions, introduce yourself. Use like your intuition, like that gut feeling, to guide you in the right direction of the right people. So again, like if it's someone who like makes you feel light and good and happy and laughy and fun, like gravitate toward those people. And if you're hanging with someone who's not making you feel as great like I used to in my story from the beginning, like end it. Don't let that stuff fester. Don't let it bring you down, because those people are just living their life. They're not like maliciously trying to drag you down. It's your own stuff. So find people that like lift you up and make you feel good. And like a lot of people, there are so many people in the world, and the internet. Like you can connect with anyone. You can be friends with anyone and find inspiration and inspire. Don't go on this journey alone, because it's very lonely. I've done it. Like you can enjoy it and it can be yours, but it's isolating. And as human beings, like we're meant to connect with other humans and we're meant for community. So don't let your beginning of your journey like scare you from putting yourself out there to make more friends, because you'll learn more and you'll progress more, and it'll be more fun having people that like resonate with you and you jive with. So find your people. I think that's all I have. I think that's like a lot of stuff that I could rant on forever, but I think it's just really important to like document your journey from a physical perspective of showing up and being there for yourself and making sure you're doing the work if this is important to you and it matches with your why. Like, why are you doing it? Let it out. Like, let out your thoughts and emotions and feelings on paper. Like, get it out of you. Don't let things just like run around in circles in your head. It'll drive you crazy. And like, show up. Show up as much and as often as you feel is needed in yourself. Show up and like celebrate all of your wins. If you're using the internet for inspiration, like be mindful, be aware of the feelings that come up when you're doing that type of research or searching, and find your people. I hope I'm your people. Like, let's connect. I would love to be your yoga friend. So this is video 4. I hope it's helpful. If you want to talk more about this stuff, or if you're having thoughts or questions come up that you don't really know how to navigate, like, I'm here for you. Shoot me an email, drop something in the comment box below, and we can chat and connect. Our final video, day 5, is my step-by-step system for actually starting yoga. So we've talked a lot about all things yoga in the past 5 days: yoga types, yoga props, basic poses, the internal self-doubt and comparison that you might come across in your journey. Now we need to put the stuff into action. If you want to do yoga and you want to start and you don't know how, you don't know where to start, this next video is for you. So if you have any questions, any apprehensions, or things lingering in your mind, drop them in the chat box below or shoot me an email. Tomorrow's video is coming, my step-by-step system for actually starting yoga. So stay tuned.